The movie starts in America in the year 2022. Crimes have been reduced completely. It's a no crime zone, and the unemployment rate is now 1%. All these achievements are because of the political party called the New Founding Fathers of America, which was voted into power in 2014 due to an economic collapse. And their first establishment after being voted in was the Purge. The purge was when everyone was allowed to commit any crime of their choice. It was for 12 hours, and the police, ambulance, or any emergency service wasn't available on that day. There are several rationales for this decision, and one of the most important was understanding that humans are a violent species. Hence, if they are allowed to contain all their violence in just one night, it would make it easier for them to live in peace for the rest of the year. This decision has worked excellently for the country, and the majority of the citizens are in support of it. The rich have made plans to protect themselves during the purge, and one of those plans is to buy and secure a security service so that they can be secured. One of the affluent businessmen who deals with security sales is James Sandin. In preparation for the purge, he has sold several advanced security services for his neighbors in his affluent neighborhood in Los Angeles and other buyers from other parts of the country. On the evening of the annual purge, James is on his way home and he calls his clients to ensure that his security is working well. He also receives a call from his assistant, Susan, who announces that he's been declared the businessman who sold the best during the purge. And he is so excited about the news. He greets one of his neighbors, Callie, before he eventually arrives home to meet his wife, Mary, cooking in the kitchen. He asks of his children, Zoe and Charlie, and Mary says that they're safe in their room. Before he returns to his room, Mary complains that they must find a solution to Zoe's obsession with her boyfriend, Henry. James does not support Henry and Zoe's relationship, and he's done all that he can do to stop their relationship, but Zoe remains firm in love. He tells his wife that they can't force Henry to leave the girl since he is a teen of decision making age. He retires to his room while disturbed. Charlie sends his robot named Timmy to tease his mother. When Mary gets startled to see the robot behind her, she knows it belongs to her son. She warns him to stop scaring her that way, but he also creeps behind and scares her more. Unknown to James and Mary, Zoe has sneaked Henry into her room. When she notices that her dad has arrived, she tells him it's time to leave and reminds him that the purge starts in less than 60 minutes, so he should ensure that he gets home before the purge begins. She takes him to the fence so he can fly it, and before he does, they see another neighbor sharpening his cutlass for the day. Henry jumps out, and Henry returns to their parents right before their dinner. Mary goes out to trash some waste and she meets one of her neighbors, Grace, who offers her baked cookies. Mary isn't comfortable with this gift as she wonders what she has done to deserve it. Grace claims baking is her new hobby, so she bakes repeatedly and has decided to bless Mary with some. Mary accepts the gift, but on her way inside, Grace starts to talk about the purge. She says that James sold all the securities in the neighborhood, and the neighbors are now saying that they were the ones who paid for the addition and renovation that was made in James's house. Mary doesn't give her any audience, and she leaves. Eventually, the family meets for dinner, and they talk about how their day had gone. Zoe refuses to talk about her day because she isn't in a good mood with her family, but James forces her to talk. James also announces his promotion to his company, and they cheer on the news. Eventually, Charlie checks the time and sees it's the purge time. Charlie is scared, and Mary knows that. Mary encourages him to see beyond the deaths and calamities that will happen that night and understand the advantage of the purge and how it has helped the country. James takes them to his security room, where he switches on their security. He also takes a gun for protection because they can't wholly rely on security. He switches on the security cameras around the house and watches what the neighbors are doing and if there's a direct attack on them. He encourages his kids not to be scared because they're absolutely protected, and Zoe goes to her room. In shock, she sees Henry there. He reveals that he had jumped into the house while they were eating to spend the night with her. She is furious that her father would get pissed at her, but she consoles herself with the joy of spending the night with her lover. On the other hand, Charlie wonders what could be the advantage of crime. He asks his parents why they don't participate in it too, since they are in support, but they tell him it's because they don't have an interest in it, and if they do, they will participate too. They convince him that he's young and doesn't understand how America was before the purge, so he should understand the advantages of the purge and the release of human anger. After that conversation, Mary goes to the gym and then returns to meet her husband in the room while Charlie remains in the security room. Zoe and Henry start making out, but Henry stops midway, confessing that he didn't come there only to meet her, but also talk with her father. She screams at him, telling him that her father can't allow them together. but he claims that he will have a man-to-man conversation with her father and that her father can't send him out due to the purge. At the same time, a strange man screams for help from the street. He begs anyone to open the door for him so he won't die, and pitifully, Charlie opens their security door, and the man enters. James finds out and runs to reinforce their security. On his way, Henry confronts him with a gun, but Mary alerts him first, and he defends himself by fatally shooting Henry. Zoe drags Henry's body, and he dies. During the commotion, the strange man hides in their big house, and they can't find him. James takes Mary and Charlie into the security room and leaves to find Charlie. He sees Henry's corpse, but misses Zoe, who is returned to meet Mary. Zoe apologizes to her mother, telling her they don't know Henry had such an intention. Also, Charlie sees people at their gate and calls his mother's attention. Mary calls James, who arrives, and they listen to the men. The men insist that they must send the strange man back outside for the purge, or they'll bring reinforcement and break into their secured home. James reveals that their security isn't built for a mob attack, and they could break in with reinforcement. So he suggests that they check their house for the strange man and send him to the men. James searches the house for this man, but Charlie, who doesn't want the man to die too, tries to use his robot, Timmy, to search the house and find the man too. Timmy finds the man first, and Charlie sends him to his usual hiding spot. He also teaches the man how to cover himself in the spot. The freaks ask for James's attention, and James speaks to him through the door. Their leader tells him that they've seen the blue flowers in front of his house, which signifies that he's in support of the purge, so they don't know why he doesn't want to release the stranger in his house. He tells him their equipment is coming, and they will break into the house. He begs James to release the man before then, because if he doesn't do that, they will kill his entire family. James promises that he's looking for the man, which was a mistake for his son, as he wouldn't have done that. Timmy also finds Zoe, and Charlie tries to talk with Zoe. Zoe tells him that she's fine, and she'll go to his hiding spot. There is no way he could tell her the strange man is there, so when Zoe goes there, she confronts the strange man with her gun, but he overpowers her and holds her at ransom. James gets there, and Mary also comes with Charlie. They beg the man to please go out and leave their family. He insists that if they don't drop their guns, he will kill Zoe, but if they drop their gun, he'll let him go. During the commotion, Mary shoots the man who throws Zoe away, and she hits her head. She collapses immediately while James runs after the man and shoots him. James tells Mary they would tie the man to a chair and throw him out to the freaks. As they bundle this injured man, Mary starts feeling bad. She says it isn't right, but they do it regardless. James goes to meet Zoe, telling her all will be fine, but Zoe tells him that they'll never recover from that night, even if they survive. He realizes sending the man out isn't the right thing, so he changes his mind. He asks his kids to hide and gives them a gun. He gives Mary a gun, telling her that they're to shoot anyone who enters their house. The freaks eventually break into the house, and they start looking for them. One of them catches Charlie, but before he shoots him, James shoots the man. Their leader also walks into the room where Zoe is hiding. He notices her, but walks away in hopes of killing her later. James also sees two of the freaks, and he kills them. He also succeeds in killing several of them, but he comes in contact with their leader, who stabs him. The man asks him if his life is worth that of the worthless man and appreciates him for giving them a great purge. Two of the freaks also attack Mary. Before they can kill her, Grace and another of their neighbors arrive to kill the man. Mary finds her injured husband and holds him with Charlie. The leader of the freaks finds them, and he decides to kill them, but Zoe comes from behind and kills him. The family hugs in peace, but their neighbors arrive. They appreciate their neighbors for saving them, but Grace says they didn't come to save them. Instead, they wanted them to die in their hands instead of the freaks' hands. Grace says when they saw their security down, they decided to act on their hatred. They claim the Sandins gathered wealth by selling securities to them, and they were so proud and full of themselves due to their wealth. Since the night is to cleanse themselves of hate, they want to kill the Sandins. James is already dead, so they drag him away and tie the other members to the chair. They sing the anthem before the purge, but Timmy rides and distracts them. Within that distraction, the strange man comes out and holds Grace at ransom, asking the others to untie the family. After they do that, the neighbors assume the Sandins will kill them, but Mary says no more killing. She asks them to sit together on the table till the purge ends. She has a gun in her hand, and while she's distracted looking at her mourning kids, Grace tries to take the gun and kill her. Mary gets the gun back and hits Grace. She breaks Grace's neck, asking if it's too difficult for them to live without killing. Eventually, the alarm rings and the purge ends. Grace and the other neighbors walk away, and Mary appreciates the strange man who also leaves their home. The news outlets announced that The Purge is the country's most successful purge. Everyone says they're experienced, and the movie ends with the experience of a man who claims to once be a patriotic American, but he is no longer a patriotic American because he lost his two sons to the Purge, and the Purge has taken everything from him. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post the next recap.